Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the IBEX 2020 virtual experience and your online education conference. On behalf of the Rhode Island Marine Trades Association and everyone here at IBEX, I'm your host, Evan Ridley. We are really thrilled to be here this morning to introduce you to one of our industry's leaders when it comes to sustainable action, Vice President at Brunswick, Kevin Grodzki. And we are extremely pleased to also have a broader opportunity to address some exciting environmental topics here at IBEX 2020 and RIMTA's other sessions taking place later today and tomorrow. So please feel free to review your schedules and make note of those sessions. We hope you're able to join us. Those of you familiar with the sustainability program at Mets Trade and those shows know just how valuable some of these conversations and interactions can be on this topic. And we're really excited to be bringing some of that energy here to IBEX virtually this year. At RIMTA, we work to provide a unified voice for recreational boating here in the Ocean State, but that means that our work isn't just in Rhode Island. It really extends around the world, and this means promoting, educating, and advocating for marine industry businesses of all shapes and sizes, really in order to create a future that is both successful and, of course, sustainable. Our industry includes both globally recognized brands and manufacturers, as well as small-scale, locally operated, multi-generational family businesses. And regardless of shape or size, we're finding that all of our members are increasingly united in a common desire to grow boating while limiting the environmental impacts that come with that process. I just want to take a quick moment to remind everyone that's watching this morning that you are able to interact with Kevin and I throughout the session using the chat feature on your page. So as we're moving along and expanding the discussion, please feel free to add your thoughts and your questions using that chat feature. And we will be looking to engage the audience later on. But when we look at the world today, our relationships with the resources we use and the natural spaces that we rely on for boating, it's really easy to be overwhelmed quickly. Charting the course towards reducing and ultimately eliminating the impacts that arise from the life cycle of a marine product like a boat or the provision of related services, these can seem like really overwhelming tasks. And RIMTA has been fortunate enough over the last couple of years to address boat recycling and the road to sustainability alongside a wide variety of industry partners and supporters that have expanded the impact of this work. One partner in particular has been Brunswick, and they've been there since the very beginning. In working with Brunswick, it becomes very clear in simple terms that they get the big picture. Marine industry businesses have an impact on the world around them, and we must embrace the responsibility that comes with mitigating that impact. Most importantly, I think Brunswick recognizes how that responsibility must be upheld in really calculated incremental stages that bring focus and diligence to particular issues, whether they have to do with resources, materials, places, people. And in just a few short years, our collaboration here at RIMTA with Brunswick has succeeded in shining a light on a promising landfill alternative for end-of-life fiberglass boats and their materials. As part of that innovative pilot, RIMTA and Brunswick have not only gained key technical verifications into how composite materials can serve in impactful ways beyond their time as a hull, but we've seen firsthand how industry members can apply their knowledge, their resources, and their abilities in an efficient fashion to redefine what we know as waste. And this kind of capacity for sustainability and stewardship are inherent to identifying what we share collectively as boaters. We know firsthand that a strong future for boating in our industry relies on the environmental integrity of lakes, rivers, bays, and oceans. We can also readily identify, I think, the behaviors and the tendencies that can ultimately threaten that integrity, both with things that happen on the water and on land. And the call to action, I think, has been made time and time again. Things like boat recycling, creating incentives for environmental performance, grassroots legislative campaigns against water pollution, invasive species, all of these things have been around for a long time, quite frankly, longer than I've been alive. But collectively, we can recognize that the questions surrounding sustainability in our industry, they're continuing to expand. And along with that, those related challenges also continue to expand. But as these challenges grow, so too must our commitment to innovative change. Collaboration inside this IBEX audience and outside stands as a key component of that path forward. And I'm really thrilled to have alongside me this morning a pioneer of those sustainability efforts at Brunswick, Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs, Kevin Grodzki. I've been fortunate enough to work with Kevin over the last couple of years on some of these issues. And since initially starting his career at DuPont, Kevin has been involved in the implementation and management of a really impressive variety of sustainability programs over the last 26 years, spanning 3 or 4 different industries. And these programs and his experiences have spanned a lot of topics that I think are relevant not only to what we're seeing in boating today, but what we'll continue to see in the future. These include some of the first steps that were taken at Mercury Marine in 2010, and most recently, moving some of those larger industry objectives across the entire Brunswick Marine Group. Kevin, the virtual floor is yours to tell us more about that journey towards sustainability at Brunswick. We're very thrilled to have you with us here today. Thank you for taking some time on a day that I understand already has some significance for you in your time at Brunswick.
Evan, thank you so much for the very kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, good day. It's certainly my pleasure to be here with you today, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share this subject with Evan. I know I speak for all of us when I say that while it's a pleasure to be here with you virtually, I believe I speak for most of us when I think that I look forward to the next time that we can all be together face to face at the next big IBEX event. I've been working for about 43 years, and throughout that 43-year career, I've had the opportunity to be involved, actually the privilege to be involved in a number of very successful sustainability initiatives across a number of different businesses and across a number of different industries. The purpose for my comments here over the next couple of minutes, 15, 20 minutes or so, is to highlight some of the key learnings that I've had along the way, with a focus specifically on the most recent implementation that I've had the opportunity to lead, and that was an enterprise-wide marine program here at the Brunswick Corporation that resulted in the publication of our very first enterprise-wide sustainability report in March of this year. Now, while that was our first enterprise-wide report, as Evan had indicated, we had a huge advantage based on the fact that Mercury Marine, our largest division within Brunswick, had done a lot of really excellent advanced work a number of years ago, starting in 2010, and they generated their first report in 2011, and so we had really good momentum, and I think there are some good learnings that have come out of that. So it's my pleasure to be here with you certainly today, and today is kind of a momentous day in a number of different reasons. First of all, I get the opportunity to share something with you that I'm very, very passionate about, and that is obviously the subject of sustainability. But I do it on really the last day of my career with Brunswick. See, tomorrow I start my retirement. So the aspect of being able to talk about something that I'm so passionate about with a group of industry colleagues who I've known and respected and had the opportunity to work with over the last couple of decades is really a pleasure, and it's something that I won't soon forget. So thank you for taking the opportunity to join us here today. And before I get into the details of our sustainability program, what I'd like to do is share with you some sense of the size, scale, and scope of what we encountered here within Brunswick. So setting the stage, our vision for the Brunswick Corporation is to define, create, and continuously innovate the future of recreational marine. And what that involves, ladies and gentlemen, is obviously to take our capabilities around design and product design, technology, operations capability, and deliver innovation and inspiration on the water. We believe that sustainability is a core part of that responsibility that we have. We take great pride in the partnerships with global OEMs, dealers, distributors, suppliers, industry influencers, groups like RIMTA, quite frankly. One of our strategies is to seek to be the best partner, to earn the right to be considered among the industry leaders. And as obviously some of these metrics that you see on this chart depict, we work hard to invest in the innovation and in the capacity and in the talent to deliver the best possible solutions to our customers. And again, we believe that sustainability is foundational to that industry leadership position. Anytime you do something as broad as sustainability, you have to understand the landscape. And the scale and scope of Brunswick's landscape is vast when it comes to the recreational marine marketplace. We've got facilities in 24 countries. We have over 12,300 employees around the world, and we serve 170 different markets with our products and services. That's both an opportunity and a challenge. The opportunity, obviously, is such that we have best practices going on around a number of different operations, and the ability to capture that and share those among those facilities is really a huge advantage. But the challenge, obviously, is the vastness of it, and the need to develop a common vision, and the need to obviously communicate well throughout the organization. Anytime I've been encountered, or the two major questions that I'm often asked about sustainability is, why is sustainability important? And then secondly, why now? First of all, let me just say, for the people that have joined us here this morning, I believe I'm preaching to the choir. I think we realize collectively, at least those of us here, and there is a more and more common recognition of the fact that it is the right thing to do. Not just from a standpoint of regulatory and other pressures that we might see. I think it's bringing out the best in all of us, and I think it's recognized the fact that it's the right thing to do. The bigger question that I think comes up more often is, geez, I don't know if I have the time. We have so many other challenges. We have so many other opportunities. Kevin, haven't you seen my pipelines? And don't you know what we're doing with our suppliers, so on and so forth? Maybe next year, maybe next month, maybe next quarter. Frankly, in my 43 years, I've been involved in 4 different sustainability implementations across 3 different industries. And the most successful programs that I've had the opportunity and the privilege to lead have really focused on sustainability as a way to improve the quality of the business. And let's face it, as business leaders, we're always working on trying to improve the quality of the business. And in my experience, sustainability can be a key element in being able to achieve key goals and objectives that we all share on a day-by-day basis. So it becomes a matter of how we implement sustainability. And quite frankly, we deliver on not only reducing our footprint, but also we deliver on our business results in terms of having the opportunity to eliminate waste in all its forms. And when you do that, you lower your cost, you improve efficiency, you basically have better, smoother operations, improve your safety, and obviously also improve the relationships that you have with your community. Now, moving on, I believe that next slide, please. Thank you. At Brunswick, we believe that there's a very common and natural link between our industry and sustainability. You know, just taking a look at that picture and thinking about that through the lens of some of the pressures that we've all been hearing about with respect to, and obviously experiencing around COVID and the like, tells the entire story. There's no industry that's better positioned for the link, if you will, to clean air, clean water, wholesome recreation, wholesome time with family and friends than the marine business. And if COVID hasn't taught us any other lessons, quite frankly, it's that the new customers that are seeking our products and our services see what we see. And they're coming into boating with very high expectations, along with other stakeholders, which include obviously our employees, our customers, our communities, our shareholders, and our suppliers. They're of course interested not only in our results and our products, but also how those results are achieved. And with that in mind, at Brunswick, the purpose for our sustainability initiative is incorporated in David Folk's quote on the top part of the slide. We wanted to understand the impact that our business had on the world and the opportunities that we have to lead the way in responsible practices. And it's with that vision in mind that we set out on our path toward that sustainability program. There's a Chinese proverb that is associated with a gentleman by the name of Lao Jia, and it goes back several thousand years. But the nature of the proverb is that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that's true here as well, just like it is in most business initiatives that we have. There is a proven path for the implementation of sustainability, and all of the reading that you could do and the like all focuses on really a 7-step process. But that first step is the most important, and that first step is management commitment. Management commitment is foundational to this program, because there are some hard things to do as part of the implementation. This 7-step path, though, is front-end loaded. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the first couple of steps, because quite frankly, when people hit the wall and companies hit the wall relative to their ability to implement sustainability programs, they often do it in the first couple of steps. First step is a materiality assessment. I'll share with you Brunswick's materiality assessment and some elements of that in a few moments. That sounds much more complex than it is, and it's very, very intuitive. You know what's important to your stakeholders. If you talk to your employees and you talk to your customers and you talk to your communities, talk to your suppliers and your shareholders, you'll know specifically what they're looking for and how to prioritize that. So with that materiality assessment and with an understanding of what are going to be the key things that you're going to try to monitor, improve, and then make commitments toward for the long term, quite frankly, it's a big step forward. But it takes some thinking, it takes some thought, and it takes some back and forth with your key stakeholders. The second step is the most time-consuming and the most arduous. And frankly, this is where most companies hit the wall in terms of maybe starting and then not making the progress that they need to make. And that's to document the current state opposite that materiality assessment, and to establish a baseline of where your business is today. Now, I've traveled a lot in my role at Mercury, and then my role here at Brunswick. I visited a lot of your facilities, and I know the fact that there's really good work going on in all of our companies. Taking that work and chronicling it in a way that allows you to establish a baseline for those parts of your business that you think are the most important is very, very critical. And then getting a couple of years worth, or a couple of months, or a couple of quarters at least worth of history to be able to determine what trajectory are you on. Are you getting better or worse in your safety? Are you getting better or worse in your emissions? Are you getting better or worse in your creation of waste? Are you getting better or worse in terms of your recycling capability? Those are key things that you have to identify, because you need a trajectory to determine whether or not your progress is keeping up with the expectations of your shareholders. Once you have that baseline, quite frankly, then it becomes part of the way we always manage all of our businesses, and that is developing goals and objectives and the programs to achieve those goals and objectives. And again, the next step here is one of the most important, and that is to engage your employees and to emphasize your commitment toward improvement in this area. For every one program that comes from the boardroom, you're going to see 100 programs that come from those people with the intimate knowledge of your operations. Those are the people with their hands on the knobs and switches. And when you start talking to your organization about eliminating waste in all its forms, and what that means to you, and what it'll mean for the business, and what it'll mean for your customers, quite frankly, it unlocks tremendous value in terms of the business, because these are folks that are so close to the operations. They know what to do, and they know exactly how to eliminate that waste and how to improve the business. And then the other steps, quite frankly, are very, very basic in terms of implementing programs, assessing the performance of the programs, take corrective action when you need it, report your results, and then start the cycle all over again. So moving ahead, this slide is a very, very basic summary of the materiality assessment that we have done as part of the Brunswick operation. Previous slide, please. Thank you. This slide is again a summary of the 4 pillars that we've put in place to be able to support our operations. Those 4 pillars are in the general categories of energy, environment, products, and people. Do we have the slide, please? Thank you let's leave that slide up here for just a few moments. This slide represents the 4 pillars of our program. First of all, from the standpoint of energy, we have some goals, and those goals are characterized here. We're looking for the responsible consumption of energy in the production of our products. And the 2 fundamental targets that we have are to reduce the amount of energy consumed on both an absolute and a per unit of output basis, and then eventually transition to renewable sources of energy. In terms of environment, we want to minimize the footprint of our products. So in both the production, in the production of our products, and so fundamentally what we're talking about is reducing the amount of material used and the waste created in the production of our process to ingrain the philosophy around reduce, reuse, and recycle. In terms of products, we're focused specifically on an extended producer responsibility and creating product stewardship. That is to, over time, reduce the footprint of our products in terms of the environmental footprint of our products from creation through the end of life. And in terms of people, we're focused on the quality of life, and that is to really improve the health, safety, and well-being of those people that use our products, that being our customers, our employees, and in the communities where we live and work and play. Now, these are 4 very, very general categories. And again, our materiality assessment has identified 120 different metrics that we're monitoring as a company and have programs and improvement efforts around. Now, obviously here today, I don't have the time to go through all of those. I'll show you how to find them later, but I don't have the time to go through all of them. But I do have an example of each one that I'd like to share with you just to bring one of these programs to life, and you get a sense of what we're talking about here. So the first one is in the area of energy. And again, remember, in energy, what we're trying to do is eventually shift to renewable sources of energy, as well as reduce the amount of energy consumed, both on an absolute basis and a per unit of production basis. Again, we've got many programs underway in this area, but one of the key programs that we have and that we've implemented has been a solar energy program at our European headquarters for Mercury Marine in Petit-Richon, Belgium. It is a manufacturing plant, it's a distribution center, and it's a European sales headquarters. We were redoing the roof as part of that construction process. We took advantage of the fact that while we were in the process of redoing that project, we put in place nearly 1,900 solar panels. That 1,900 solar panels has enabled us to get some quick early wins and some quick early learnings around the importance of renewable energy that we can take and translate to other markets as well. It saved us about 1/3 of our fossil fuel based energy consumption that we had in the past. And again, it's from those learnings that we will continue to implement more renewable energy projects going forward, as well as energy efficiency projects that I mentioned earlier. In terms of environment, next slide, please. One of the best examples that I could provide here is in our Fort Wayne manufacturing facility. Again, part of a construction project, we were in the process of redoing the process control effort that we had in terms of cooling our air compressors. And here we made a process change and eliminated the use of virgin virgin water, natural water, in the cooling of those compressors. That resulted in the savings of 1 million gallons of water per month for that operation. Again, we have similar technology in place at other plants, and we'll take the learnings that we've had from the Fort Wayne operations and continue that in our other facilities. Again, we were looking to reduce the amount of material consumed and resources consumed in the production of our products in this area of environment. In terms of products, again, a very good example here is the efforts that we have underway around aluminum recycling. Now, the benefits of utilizing recycled aluminum alloys versus virgin aluminum are well known, and I don't have to articulate those here. The environmental footprint of one versus the other is just unmistakable. But as part of our aluminum recycling program, with a focus on reduce, reuse, and recycle, we were able to recycle over 18,000 tons of aluminum across our boat and our engine operations just in the last year. And the last example that I'll provide specifically is around is in the area of people. Next slide, please. And here again, a great example is in our New York Mills operation, where they have been on a 3-year journey to improve the safety performance of that operation. They've done a marvelous job, and it's translated to become one of the safest manufacturing facilities, not just in the state of Minnesota, but also one of the safest facilities in our industry. So those are 4 just very basic examples of some of the improvement programs that we put in place. Again, just to bring to life some of those metrics that we look at and that we drive and that we measure the performance on. We take and put in a bottle basically, and then share it liberally among our other operations in a way that allows us to leverage the really good progress that we've made in one place and translated that to progress in others. You know, one of the things that your stakeholders are going to be asking for here, beyond just your current performance, is also going to be your long-term goals and objectives. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. You've got to have the courage and the vision to think about the future. And we have developed a number of longer-term goals and objectives that we have for our business. In again, those same 4 areas or those same 4 categories. First of all, in the area of energy, our goal and our objective is to utilize best-in-class technology across all of our construction projects, just so we don't have to go back and redo things. Use the latest technology in terms of lighting, heating, so on and so forth. But the other very significant goal and objective that we've committed ourselves to is for the Brunswick Corporation to source 50% of its electricity needs from renewable sources by the year 2030. That's a substantial difference. That's a substantial change, but we have plans and programs in place in order to do that. In the area of environment, we are really focused on minimizing our footprint, and that is the amount of materials consumed and waste produced in our manufacturing operations. And so we are changing our process water reuse and recycling policies. No more single pass water. It'll all be recycled with the exception of hygiene. The second key area is to minimize and eventually eliminate landfill waste disposition for both hazardous as well as non-hazardous waste within the company. And last but not least, to target low emission technologies and formulations for our products. In the area of people, we're just looking to implement continuous improvement. Again, focused on the quality of life to drive the safety, well-being, and health of our employees, of our customers, and obviously the communities that surround us. I save products for last because, quite frankly, it's one of the biggest challenges I think we have as an industry, and something that we ought to really focus on working together on. In Evan's opening comments, he mentioned collaboration. And this is an area that, specifically around products, I believe there's going to be a need for improved collaboration among the leaders in the industry and quite frankly, also among other key influencers in the industry. And here again, we're focused on product stewardship, the extended producer responsibility that we all have for our products from the time they're created through their end of life. So one of the goals and objectives that we have is to improve the recycled content in our product and improve recycling in our products. But then here's where we have to have a little bit of vision and some courage as we go forward. In my judgment, there are certain key issues that our industry faces that, left unaddressed, would threaten the future of our industry. And it may not be this year, it may not be next year, it may not be in the next decade. But there are issues that are there that it's incumbent upon us as industry leaders to begin thinking about, begin developing plans for, collaborating around, and developing a strategy for. And these issues include a number of different things. For example, invasive species proliferation. How are we going to separate boating from that, utilizing technology and development? A boat end of life solution, like Evan had spoken about, that does not include a landfill disposition possibility. We want to maintain the 2 decades long progress that we've made relative to improving, continuous improvement around our fleet fuel efficiency and emission reduction. And obviously we want to do that across our fleet in all applications. And last but not least, as our parts and accessories business continues to grow, I don't know if you're anything like me, but there's not a day I go home where I don't step over another brown box. The aspect of packaging waste is something that I believe we need to address. These are vexing issues that threaten the growth and the development of our industry, and it's something that I believe is something we can work on together for the success of our industry. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, let me just say that this is a very exciting time in our industry. You know, it's the first time in decades that we have the opportunity to refresh and recharge our consumer base and really begin to think about expanding our business. As we expand, we can make a difference by lowering the environmental footprint of our industry, improving customer satisfaction, and driving the growth of our business. If you're interested in learning more about the Brunswick Sustainability Program, I invite you to the Brunswick website. If you look at the Brunswick website under responsibility and sustainability, you'll see a link to the reports that we have there. And obviously there you can learn a lot more about those other 116 metrics that we're monitoring as part of our materiality analysis, and learn more about the implementation programs that we have as an industry leader. So with that, that concludes my prepared remarks, Evan. And again, I invite anyone to also ask any questions along the way in a chat. Evan, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Kevin. I really want to thank you again for taking some time to provide a brief overview of what's going on at Brunswick. Obviously, you could spend a whole day scratching the surface and understanding how far some of these commitments reach. I think that it's really encouraging to see a company with such a broad reach across the spectrum being able to demonstrate progress in so many different areas. And while there aren't a million Brunswicks out there, I think that each of those experiences carries a message and a perspective that can help inform businesses of all types and sizes as they're beginning to navigate some of those steps that you had mentioned as you were walking us through the process. I want to talk about your comments on the management commitment and how important that is in getting the ball rolling in the right direction. From your experience at Brunswick, I'm wondering, what does it take from an industry standpoint to successfully implement a sustainability objective like this? I mean, how do you ensure that buy-in occurs at every level of operation? You mentioned how you might have 2 or 3 programs that develop, but for every 2 or 3, there's 100 others that are coming from the lever pushers and the folks that know what each button does. So how do you make sure that there's that buy-in across such a broad range of partners?
Evan, that's a great question, and obviously the key here is communication and consistency. The aspect of being able to engage your organizations and make sure that they understand the fact that as a business we consider this to be a priority. Communicating that vision to them, asking for their help, celebrating successes. I think is something that breeds energy within the organization, and all of a sudden lights go on and people begin to think about the fact that, hey, look, yeah, I think I have some ideas too, and the like, and then some level of consistency. So in our business reviews and in our management reviews that we have and things like that, it's almost like a commitment to safety. We start and finish every meeting talking about that, and we would do the same thing around sustainability. So communication, consistency, prioritization, those will be 3 of the things that I think are going to be important for any organization to think about, just like they are in any other major initiative that any other business would take on.
Absolutely, and having that foundation of interconnectivity and understanding, it supports the function of any healthy business. And it seems like the 4 pillars that you described were somewhat of a roadmap for you guys in feeding some of those ideas through the digestive tract and understanding where things were going to shake out. How do you feel that those 4 pillars are going to continue to evolve in the future? And do you think that the feedback from the folks in your facilities and from a manufacturing standpoint, is that going to change what those pillars look like and how they guide your sustainability mission?
At this point in time, Evan, I don't necessarily see them changing, but I do see them becoming perhaps farther reaching over time, because many of the goals and objectives that we have at the current stage are really focused on our internal operations. But I believe that over time we're going to be more and more challenged to look over the fence and look outside, especially as it relates specifically to some of the product related initiatives that we have. Things that I had spoken about before relative to things like some of those vexing challenges that we have as an industry, like boat end of life and the like. And I think that's the place where collaboration with organizations like RIMTA and other places are going to take place. So I see the 4 pillars as being the 4 general categories that will continue, but I see them evolving over time, and that evolution, I believe, will be driven more so by innovation, by technology, uh, uh, to some degree by regulation. And I believe that it's incumbent upon every healthy industry to take control of its own destiny. So I would, in my judgment, I would like to see less of it being driven by regulation over time and more of it driven by initiative because it's the right thing to do.
And when it comes to looking over the fence and having an idea of where there are opportunities to collaborate or to learn, obviously we have many channels that are tried and true here in the marine industry, but you're somebody that has spent a lot of time looking at these kinds of challenges from different industry perspectives. And, in thinking about that ability to, step in and take that first step on the 1,000-mile journey, what do you think that the marine industry can do to engage other industries to make sure that we're learning the lessons that others are taking to heart and improving upon?
Mm. I think that there's some good work that's going out that's going on out there that we can certainly leverage. If you think a little bit about landfill free, for example, just utilizing that as a goal and as an objective. We've got one of our major manufacturing facilities that is qualified as landfill free. And over the next couple of years, we'll be adding more to that list with a longer term commitment that says eventually we will migrate totally to a landfill free operation for our company. The auto companies have embraced the dimension of landfill free for a number of years. GM, Ford, and others, and they've developed a formulaic way of getting there. And so I think looking over the fence and looking at what some other industries are doing in order to affect that. My understanding is that the last count, I think GM had 141 plants that were considered to be landfill free. Again, some of their plants and some of their operations are pretty sophisticated. If you think about that, and that level of sophistication, while we think about our industry being complex and sophisticated, the level of the automotive facilities is perhaps even more sophisticated. So the ability to look at some of the things that they're doing, you look at what's happening right now with respect to wind turbine blades and the recycling in that area. You look at other areas. I believe that there's key learnings out there that we can embrace and we can leverage and help jumpstart our own efforts.
Well, you mentioned one of our favorite shared topics here, landfill alternatives and diverting from landfill. As I mentioned earlier, Brunswick was a major supporter early on of RIMTA efforts to demonstrate how cement kiln co-processing, something that's going on in the wind turbine industry, that's a viable alternative currently for the landfilling of boat hulls. And the marine industry has the capacity and the partners that are able to produce that recycled content. Our work has made that so clear. Sort of beyond the industry getting boats to a point where they can be disassembled, managed as a material bank, recycled, waste reduced, etc. You mentioned extended producer responsibility. So do you think that, in addition to building out that role of designing boats that are ready for end of life, do you think that as Brunswick and other manufacturers are stepping into this process, is there something that needs to be done from that standpoint on being a part of that boat's life cycle throughout the entire all stages, really?
Yeah, I believe that our customers are going to hold us accountable for that kind of performance and for that kind of responsibility. Frankly, it's something that we take very, very seriously. There'll be a right time and a right place for the implementation of new designs and new technologies and new formulations and the like that will get us to that. But in the meantime, we have an aging base of material that I believe it's going to be incumbent upon the industry to step in and make a difference.
Kevin, as we're wrapping up here, I want to touch on something that you said with regard to having, so the ability to emphasize the opportunity to enhance business and to see sustainability as a gateway to enhancing business value and encouraging some of the work through the difficult steps at the early part of the stage when you're assessing what difference you can make. Do you think that emphasizing that opportunity is something that needs to be more of an objective industry wide? And in parallel to that, do you think that that consumer pressure that you're referencing is going to help make that opportunity a little more visible across the board?
I think the answer is yes to both. I believe that if you embrace sustainability as a means to an end, and that means to an end is not just recognition around the fact that it's the right thing to do, but also making it part of your business improvement initiatives, and then following the lead of your customers, particularly in the current environment that we're seeing post-COVID, where we're attracting a new, broader, and different customer base. I think that we will see increasing opportunities there, and I don't necessarily mean increasing pressures. I think that there are going to be tremendous opportunities there for us as an industry to not just meet but also exceed the expectations of those customers.
And question coming in from the audience here, John Arian, is Mercury making a move toward non-fossil fuel engine? Is that something that we can expect to learn more about in the future?
One of the goals and objectives, obviously, that we have, as I mentioned, longer term, is to focus on fleet fuel efficiency and continuous improvement in that area. And obviously, we will do that with our current engine technology, and we will also embrace new engine technologies as well that allow us to be able to achieve that goal and that objective of reduced emissions and improved efficiencies.
Whether it's engines, whether it's material waste reduction, there are incremental steps that build toward a larger, more powerful end result. And it's really tremendous to see the steps that Brunswick has taken to show the rest of us that these are attainable goals and that there is a guideline and a pathway forward. Kevin Grodsky, Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs at Brunswick, thank you so much for taking some time to talk here today on a day when you are charting your course and setting sail for the next chapter. We know this is not goodbye, it's bye for now, and look forward to staying connected with you and everybody else here at IBEX on topics related to sustainability. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you, and good luck, everyone. Thanks.